And of course, my stream strength goes down as soon as I press stream.
Looks like it's good on this end.
Oh, there we go. It's back. It's back in action. Hello, people of the internet.
Is it working?
Can't see who's with us immediately right now, but it seems like some folks are with us. This here is Bandless. Bandless, the podcast, Bandless, the live stream. And this is a show where we talk about the challenges of being a solo music creator in this day and age. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good.
How are you living as a solo music creator? How's your solo music creator life?
It's what were we just talking about?
It's a hustle.
It's been unproductive this last
unproductive.
few days. It happens.
It is counter to all the things we talk about.
Yes, it sometimes our responsibilities get in the way.
This is the reality of this.
When you're trying to balance this thing that you want to be the thing with the other things that are the thing.
Yeah, the things that are knocking at the door saying, I want to be the thing. And you're like, you can't be the thing.
But I need you to be the thing because you pay more than the thing I want to be the thing.
And isn't that ironic? Because that's today's show.
Absolutely.
Kind of. Brandon, good to see you. Rough Riffs.
Rough Riffs.
Greetings.
What's up, buddy?
Hope you're well. Today's show is all about artists, money, and marketing. The marketing part is not in the main title, but it is definitely a thing. Cosman, be the thing. I like that. That's a shirt.
Yeah, it is.
If the main thing is keeping the main thing, then be the thing.
Yeah, it's deep. It's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Doing all right tonight, Rough Riffs. All right. But yeah, today we're talking about money. Nick Hill.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of take us in on the sort of preamble of today?
Yeah, I missed my cue, didn't I? Yep.
Oh, you didn't. You hit it right now.
Yeah. So like Bunn said, money is something that I was and still am a little bit uncomfortable talking about. And it's super common for artists to be awkward and even crippled when it comes to generating income. It's like the thing we don't like to talk about. Even more vomit inducing than money is marketing. If we don't figure it out and just sit around waiting to be discovered or waiting for something to happen, nothing will happen. If your goal is to make it a career or a side hustle, what can we do as artists? So that's what we're going to dive into today. And as a disclaimer, if you will, Bunn and I are not financial, financial experts.
Yeah.
Don't rely on us for important information. Neither of us make very much money at this at all. And we're not just saying that to make you guys feel better or whatever. It's the truth,
Yeah.
Bunn still has a full-time job that he's trying to transition out of, and he's been trying to transition out of it for, what would you say, realistically
3 months.
6? It seems like longer because
Well,
I know
yeah,
you were
true.
working up
That's
to
true.
it.
Yeah.
And it's just you have to
About
put
6
all
months.
you have to put all your ducks in a row. You're being responsible, and
I got one duck.
one duck, yeah. One slow duck at a time, and I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I'm clearly not making enough to get rid of that anytime soon.
But we're never going to topple that mountain if our attitude surrounding money as an artist is something of the traditional artist, that awkwardness with the money topic, getting good with the money topic. We got to do it. How do we do it? How has it impacted our lives? When was the turning point in terms of identifying? It's I'm uncomfortable about this. I'm looking at it in a weird way that is not to my benefit and not to the benefit of the whole thing at all.
Yeah.
So what's that about? Are we going to jump right into the points here?
Should we? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. Hello, Anthony Nito.
Anthony, what's
good
up,
to
brother?
see you. So today, first point on, artists, money, and marketing. I think the first thing that's really important is, looking at what money is. It's not inherently good. It's not inherently bad.
Yep.
Artists often associate money with, greed, evil, corporatism. How you choose to use money can be good, can be bad, or it even could be creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally up to you. How do you think about money, Nick Hill? Maybe like you can include like what your attitude was prior,
Mm-hmm.
how you've kind of started to look at money, because it is an important thing to consider in moving forward as an artist and kind of making a little business around yourself as an artist. And how did your attitude affect you before, and how is your attitude changing, and how is it affecting you now?
Yeah. So money, yeah, and you and I have had many a conversation on this topic.
Yeah.
I was definitely in the camp, and again, kind of go in and out of it, of feeling bad about talking about money, feeling bad about doing things to earn money for this thing, because I don't want anybody to think negatively of me because of the
That is just a
negative.
cash grab.
Yep, exactly. But the fact of the matter is, if you want the thing to be the thing, like we were talking about, which is music and video and YouTube and helping others with sharing our knowledge, if you want
Doing
that to
it.
be if you want that thing to be the thing, you need to support yourself. That's just the reality of the world we live in. We need to support ourselves. We need to pay our bills, keep our lights on, feed our
Eat
faces and our
pizza.
families. Exactly. Drink liquid death and eat pizza. We need that. It's just, and we're all in that same boat, you know? So you kind of helped me see it that way over the course of our friendship so far. And, it's pushed me to, without skipping into other topics too much that we're going to talk about, to look at this sort of like it's a little baby business, and, you know, the more I can bring in to support it, the more I can do it.
Yeah.
The more I can do this at
Absolutely.
some point. And that's the way you need to look at this. I always tell Bunn,
If you want to make it that thing,
yes,
we should probably preface
absolutely.
that part. If it's just like a hobby and you just enjoy playing guitar and recording, this may not be.
Yeah, this just might be a little irrelevant to you. And
Yeah,
that's okay too.
that's totally
Um,
okay.
my wife always says, why does everything have to like be a thing and make money? And it's not even that I want to make money all the time. It's just that,
You just want to do it all the time.
yeah, I would, because she's very creative. I think we've talked about this, and she'll do these little drawings. And I'm like, you should do this or draw this and then sell this and have an Etsy. And she's like, why does it always have to be a thing? And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if you could sit around and draw all day? That's
Yeah,
the way I'm thinking. Not about
and also
give me money. Yeah, and connect with people.
connect with other people that are interested in that thing, because
Which has been which has been the biggest
so
most
amazing.
amazing side effect of the whole thing is all you guys and all the bandless community that we've
Yeah.
built, and everybody who follows me and Bunn and any guitar YouTuber or any YouTuber for that matter,
And everybody that we follow.
yeah, it goes both
it's
ways.
it's a cycle.
Yeah. So king of the tangents, I'm kind of
I love
like,
it. Tangent.
just trying to say, like, I had that negative viewpoint, and it goes a little bit deeper, because for most of my adult life I've sucked with money, and I'm sure some of you will like relate to this. I sucked with money growing up. My parents were good parents, but they didn't teach me dick about money and finances and how to be thrifty or save money or what
Or
must.
how to go and make money.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
didn't know. It's like, in hindsight you look back and you're like, well, those financial mistakes should be common sense, but you can't, that's not fair to say. Like, I'm a
No.
smart guy, I have a lot of common sense. I was an idiot with money, and I know that a lot of people fall into it. So I always have had this, and it's been one of the biggest, again, like I said, it goes deeper. One of the biggest things my wife and I deal with is money and talking about money. And the reality is, the more open you are about it, the more you talk about it, and the more you work to not villainize it, it becomes easier to see what its purpose is, you know?
Yeah.
And you've helped me with that, with this thing. Like, the money that comes in supports this, and I get to do it more and help more people and make more music. And that's the end goal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am 100% on board. I think kind of feeding into that idea, or not wrapping it up in a little ball, is sort of like this idea of projecting your own sense of money onto the world, and how that can,
I mean,
you can do that negatively, you can do that positively, you can do that creatively, but where you start, where your mind is at with it, has a lot to do with where you end up with it.
Yep.
Something that's also interesting about the artist kind of frame of mind, at least that I've had a lot of exposure to and that I've felt myself, is that sort of frivolity. You know, it's like this music thing, it's a frivolous thing. How dare I monetize it?
Oh man, yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I'm like, I don't know. Music has been a commodified, and it has been a product for a long time. And even back then, my whole life, I have always loved buying records.
Same.
And I love, especially if when we used to go to shows, now you do it through Bandcamp or whatever, but go to shows and like buy the records right from the bands at the merch table. Like I just loved it. I loved it so much. I'd line up. I'm like, oh, they're selling their new 7-inch at the show. It's not in stores. I want it.
Yep. Yeah.
So like, it's interesting, as a consumer, I never had a moment's hesitation with it. But as an artist, it was really awkward for me for a long time.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of just shined a really good light on it, where we felt bad about setting ourselves up to receive it. But you and I, and probably everybody in the chat and in the Bandless community,
are stoked to get a new record that you love.
Absolutely willing to spend money so that their band keeps on doing stuff. And that, if we look at this, guys who have a channel and who are making music and putting music out, if we look at it that way, then you should be okay with setting things up to create income, to perpetuate your music or your video or whatever creative thing, whatever you're doing, period. You know, if that's the thing you want to be doing.
Yeah, if you make custom axes.
Yep. Guitars.
Because you're a lumberjack, master.
Guitar straps. Just if we just think real in our niche area, like if you're doing something creative that you love to do and you're like, I love doing this, leather making, the point is to make some money so you can keep doing more leather making and
do it better.
Give more people, do it better, give people like a real artistic quality item. And we're doing that with music. I mean, that's also it's obviously subjective, but
of course, you
guys are proof in the pudding that there's an audience out there for everybody, even for me and Bunn.
Yeah, there's people in the comments right now. So Lucas Wisebroad, it's interesting. We're pals. But I'm a huge fan of his music. Huge fan. I have no hesitation whatsoever to just like pour money into his music. If he comes out with a new single, I usually buy it right away. And it's super artistic and crazy, but that's, it appeals to me. I get a buzz out of it, and I get a buzz out of buying it, and I want to hope he does more. And I don't know, it's just awesome.
Totally. I mean, I buy all your shit that comes out still. You're always like, Nick,
what are you doing?
If I order
a shirt, just send it over to you.
If I order you a shirt, you're just like, dude,
I can just send it to you.
I just want to feel like I'm contributing to, the Bunn enterprise, because I want more Bunn. That's the way we got to look at it. That's the way I think we should look at it. And we spent a lot of time not looking at it that way, you know?
It's true. 100% true.
Yeah.
That's about all I have to say about the sort of relationship with money, the past, the transition, and moving into the present space and into the future.
Yeah.
That relationship, that perspective of what money is and how it functions, especially in that space. So I think it's really important to kind of take a closer look at it and be like, how do I think about it, and how is it maybe making me awkward, uncomfortable, crippled, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But we're going to hang out in the comments a little bit here.
Yeah, did we
Get a
knock
few
out
comments?
point 1 already? Holy moly.
Pardon?
We knocked out point 1 already?
Point 1, we knocked it out.
That's amazing.
But we're going to talk about it in the comments. The
Yeah,
first most
exactly.
important thing, though, is Cosman says, what brand of pizza?
Ooh.
And I would
Bunn,
say
you're the king of the pizza, so what do you say?
these days, I'm good with a tasty margarita, basic, just like margarita sauce and cheese. No, nothing fancy.
What's your
but
go-to brand?
brand? Well, if it's frozen pizza, the Delicios, Dr. Oetker or whatever,
Must be a Canada thing. Never heard of it.
maybe. But bum 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 bum. And do you have a comment? So
This is a self-serving comment by Cosman.
okay.
You guys are providing a service, and when you do that, lots of people have no problem compensating you in some shape or form. So you are kind of now on the honor system. So Cosman, first of all, thank you for the kind words. Bunn and I just like helping people, you know, and making music. So
Yeah.
we're glad that you guys like that, because
Yeah.
it allows us to do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit? Mr. Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon's a good
so
one.
Is that I need to make it a little bigger so I can read it.
Yeah,
Here we
why
go.
is it small on mine too?
Yeah. Let me pose this. Why is it that musicians tend to spend so much time on learning their craft musically and so much time nerding out on gear, but so little time on the business side? And that's a great question. And I don't really have an answer per se, but I have, some postulations might be that the business isn't very interesting until you know what's involved with the business, and that once you dive into the business a little bit, maybe because you're just going so deep and you're like, I need to make this something that I understand. As soon as you start looking at it more closely, it actually gets really interesting and it's really creative, and that you don't realize it at the beginning or for a long time. At least I didn't.
Yeah.
And, amps are way more exciting or guitars are way more exciting than business when you pose it that way, because most people look at business, I think, from more of an industrial point of view, an industrial framework, the Industrial Revolution, like, plant, product, widget, consumer base, move units,
Yeah.
repeat. And it's just like that's business. That sucks. No thanks. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple good points to go along with this and go along with what you're saying. Baritone Cult, Aaron from Baritone Cult says most of the populace work for a business and not own one. So yeah, that's correct. And I think it's this very foreign idea that I can do something and make an income, and it might be something I really like to do, and that seems to feel weird for people or wrong to people because, and I'm not trying to get into this long lineage of the education system and what it's meant to make us robot workers, but we go to school, we learn to learn and learn to memorize, and then we're set out into the working world, and it's not
to make
fostered
better widgets.
It's not fostered in us to chase those creative things, and it does. So there's something that kind of Bunn said, like frivolous. It's like sometimes people look at it like music. Oh, you're just doing that music thing. That's his nice little hobby, And it's like it's only a hobby because it's not big enough yet, So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like you know, like we put this mental twist on money that it's bad and we shouldn't ask for it or be receiving it for our crafts. We also kind of look at, some of us, I know I have for a long time, like music, people, I always thought like music, people saw me doing music as just something I did on the side and it wasn't serious or wasn't a real thing. When in my head, I'm like, nah, nah, man. Like, I have to do this job because I need to make money, but it's not what I want to be doing. So, you know, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing.
Oh, I know it. I think
Yeah.
everybody in this
Yeah.
stream knows it. Turboplasma Chicken, the voice of wisdom here,
Mm-hmm.
always. Whoa, gassy liquid death
Liquid Death
in
Burp.
a Bunn tumbler. Get them while it's hot. You can't see it though. It's a little bit of business right
Yeah.
there.
Your moody
We
aesthetic fought your
yeah
business
yeah.
opportunity.
I don't care. More widgets. Turboplasma says we happily spend money on music we love, but self-guilt is a killer through believing money is evil, or believing that you don't deserve it means you will always struggle with it. Yeah. That sort of like dichotomy that comes from the sort of the manner by which you think about it.
Yep.
100%.
I mean,
Got another banger there?
Let's see. I did.
It's all bangers here, guys.
Yeah, you guys are on board. This is good. You know, I mean, Aaron, or Baritone Cult, you know, Aaron, I don't hope I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say. You know, you're a businessman. You're well versed in this stuff, and he says there's so many opportunities out there, and he hopes all musicians are making money. You know, and I think that's something too. Is like, maybe this has nothing to do with what we're saying or what we're talking about, but it's like, you know, I'm okay with people being successful in things that I'm not in. So it's like, maybe we feel like we shouldn't be making money at music because it's not something we go drive to and do and hit a punch card and then leave and get insurance and stuff like that. You know, it doesn't fit the narrative of the American dream, if you will. But yeah, I mean, there is opportunity and it's okay to seek it out and build something for yourself and maybe lean into one day being your own boss, you know?
Yeah. And we're going to get into this part of it a little later on. But there's, you know, being a musician or a music business these days, there's a lot more facets to it than just making tunes. And clearly, like, you know, we ended up in this space. Not that this here specifically is a business, but I guess it's like kind of an extension of everything that we're doing, and it helps to spread things out and all that kind of stuff. I suppose it feeds in some way, but what was the original thing here? Like doing a business in it doesn't have to be a music space. That's the part I'm caught up on. It doesn't have to be in a creative space. There's generally many sort of streams to it. It's not just sitting around playing guitar. And you know, there can be products involved, there can be services involved, there can be a lot of helpful things, like sharing things that are truly helpful to others and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, and there's no rules to how you do it. And yeah, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm just, you know, just sitting around playing guitar. It's not a business or whatever. Well, it can be. But there's also a lot more to it if you want.
Yeah. It's very interesting, and I'm reading a lot of what you guys are saying in the chat. It's like, there's nothing that's not right about what you guys are saying. You know, it's I think I was making a note while you were talking about, you kind of hit on it too, like, oh, because Cosman said something about because most musicians aren't in, what did he say? Most people that are passionate about business are not musicians. So I kind of flipped it. I'm thinking like you were just talking about, and some of you guys are kind of saying, it's like, yeah, like it's not fun to spend hours doing what we have to do sometimes. You know, like I've spent many hours over the last couple weeks getting my finances and ledger. Like I'm at a point where I need to track this stuff, you know, because it's going to affect my taxes. And that's something you don't think about or you put off because you're like, I'm not making enough. It's not a thing. You know, it's not a thing. And then
You're like, oh, it's more than I
it's
thought.
sort of a thing. And that's okay because that's the point of it. So, like you guys are saying, it's good that we're talking about it and bringing it up and making it like something okay to talk about.
Yeah.
It in general, like we've talked about, you know, mental health and the psychology of doing what we're doing. This goes along in line with that.
That's a really good point right there, is the sort of the dirty word of money in art. I really want to kind of work to make that a comfortable conversation. There's no reason why you can't. We use money for everything, every single thing. I'm like, why is it a weird, suddenly an awkward thing in the art space? At you know, kind of at the grassroots level, I guess. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, again, Cosman says something that's relevant to that, where he says like, he says, have felt fear that if it became a business, it would defeat or deflate the joy. And yes, but it's like, if you let it get to that point, or I guess I'm thinking like, and again, I'm an infant when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see how being successful would ruin it.
Yeah.
Right now.
I can add to that.
Yeah.
A number of people in my family are very high profile musicians around the world with very, very high profile, for very high profile artists in various capacities, studio musicians, as well as like on the books employees of that huge artist. Anyhow, I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but my Uncle Gary said, I was, you know, talking to him about that very thing quite a while ago, some years ago. And he kind of just stopped me because I was going on. I'm like, money kind of, you know, it's evil. And he's like, what would you rather? I think at the time I was working in screen printing. And he's like, what would you rather do? Screen print 100 shirts for some band at $5 a pop, or, you know, earn enough on your art to pay for your house. And just every day, just go back to doing your art. Yeah, it comes with doing a bunch of things like you're talking about doing your finances. That's not a fun part of it, but it's just that's just a thing you're going to do anyway, no matter what you're doing. But if you don't have to go to the screen printing job or to whatever, what would you rather do? And someone else here shares an interesting thing. I'm not saying that you have to hate your job. So it's Brandon. For me, music is a different creative outlet
throw that one up.
than my main job, which I fortunately quite enjoy. And there are plenty of people who enjoy their day job. And there's no reason why you should, you know, by default, hate your day job. That's not what we're talking about here. If you love your day job, amazing. Nice to not have to think about it as a business. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I'm with Rough Riffs. I love my day job. You know, I'm a video producer and I work for a great company that takes very good care of me, and I'm really passionate about what we do. So,
but if you had to compare if Nick Hill, if there was no barrier and it was just like they both were in parallel, making the same amount, generating the same amount of revenue, what would you choose?
There's no doubt in my mind. I would rather be doing music and things.
Yeah.
Related.
And that doesn't mean that you hate the day job.
Exactly.
It just means like you definitely prefer this thing. So I'm not trying to pit anybody against their day job.
Right.
Very important. That's not what today is about.
That's not the point of this. The point is if you are doing this even as a side hustle, you know, that it's okay to if you're good at it and you're being, you know, and you are building an audience that wants to support you, like invite that.
Let it happen. Yeah.
Let it happen. Yeah.
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 I want to get to point 2 here. Before we get to point 2, this is something I wanted to do in the opening and I kind of forgot. Also, maybe enough folks are with us at the moment. I'd like to shout out our patrons. We do have a Patreon to support this page. Speaking of being comfortable with money, and it's only a $5 Patreon, and the whole point of it is just to help kind of pay for the software. We use this weird software which allows us to put the comments up on the screen and allows us to have both of us in the feed and all of this stuff. It's, you know, it comes with a pretty significant cost, which is fine. We're going to pay for it no matter what. But if you want to help,
yeah, we can be totally transparent about it. Like, you know, Restream is I'm sure many of you who are computer nerds have heard of it. It's a service that you sign up for, and it's like a online version of OBS, but it makes it super slick and easy for us to bring guests in, and you know,
all that
audio
cool stuff.
Yeah, and it costs, you know, like $50 a month for what we have to do. So that's it. That's what we're doing.
But if you'd like to help out, have at it.
Were we shouting people out?
Yeah, we're going to shout people out.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Do you want to do it?
No, go for it.
All right. Shout people out for our Patreon that have been helping thus far. Thank you very much. Ben Drakeford, Tanner Borglum, Baritone Cult, Barry Prosser, Kevin O'Brien, and Anthony Nieto. Thank you very much.
Thank you
to all of you for coming along with us. It has already helped to offset what
absolutely.
It's costing to do this.
It's very much appreciated. I really do appreciate you guys.
This channel doesn't make any money. It doesn't have any products. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just purely for the love of the message, I guess. But onward to point 2.
I did throw up this comment real quick.
Yeah, let's do it
before we move on. I'm sorry. Baritone Cult says, for me, owning a business is all about freedom, time, and then money. I mean, if you're miserable in a thing, then change it. And I think he hits on a very good point, you know, and this is his follow-up. Happiness is better than hating your work life or what you do. I say, go for it, whatever your thing is. And dude, I think that's a great point. You know, it is more about freedom. And I tell this to people all the time. And I've been told by people, like, you're not thinking big enough. You know, if this is the thing you want to do, it's like, I just want my family and my family to be comfortable and my bills to be paid, and to be doing music to allow that to happen. If my kids are happy and my wife is happy and we're comfortable, and when we get old, we can still live comfortably. I don't need to be rich. I don't need it. I just want to be happy, and I want to help people. Yeah. You know, like you guys make music, and that's the goal here. You know,
that is
the
ultimate buzz right there.
Yep. That is the
just
very
doing
good point.
something that you are so stoked on, and it's enough to live. Such a good point. Like, I don't need to be rich. I don't even care about being rich. It doesn't mean anything to me. But I do care about being able to create and connect. You know, that's such a buzz. So, but we're going to move on to point 2 here. Do you want to open it up, or you want me to open it up? I'm going to open it up, and you're going to be the first to go.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So point 2 is, if nobody knows about what you're creating, how on earth can they enjoy and support it? So yeah, we can talk about all this money, but like, and then you go out and do the thing. But if you don't tell anyone, so this is marketing, another dirty word, the second dirty word.
Yeah, boy, marketing is a buzzword, isn't it? And
Nick Hill,
brand, and your brand.
how uncomfortable were you with this stuff before? What was
Well,
the turning point? And where are you at now?
yeah. So when we met, didn't have any music out, and then I was just doing the bare minimum, putting my music out and creating whatever revenue I could with streams. And I was like simultaneously thinking like, man, I don't make any money on streams, but and again, we've talked about this. It's not about the money, it's about sustaining itself and making this thing, allowing it to be more music. But it's like, man, it's not enough, but I don't know what to do, and I saw your model, what you were doing. You had your music on Bandcamp and giving people options to support you. And I think that's the thing. Your advice and the following that I was slowly building. People were asking for X and Y and Z, like, and
And were
that
you kind of brushing it off?
I
You're like,
was.
oh, that's not
I'm
for
like,
real.
dude, well, it was like, you get that imposter syndrome a little bit, like, you just don't think. I don't know what I was
Oh,
thinking.
I know.
It's like, I'm not good enough. Nobody really wants to freaking nah, like this one person, but that's not the case. It's a very small-minded way of looking at things, so like it was when people started asking that sort of opened my eyes. And then you talking to me about your model and having, we started diving into the idea of digital products that have actually, helped a lot of people. I get so many messages and emails
Yeah.
about like, yeah, I make money off my Helix preset packs, but people say like how much it helped them unlock like, I didn't know how to get a good sound off a Helix, and then seeing your presets and how they were put together and listening to them and using them, like, now I know how to use this thing and it's allowing me to make music. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Huge.
point,
Awesome. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, exactly. Um, what else? So yeah, like you have to diversify. You have to look at yourself like a little baby business, if you want, again.
You can. It's a great,
Yes.
it's a, there's a lot of options and you can, and it's generally beneficial.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, I kind of realized I'm not forcing anybody to do anything.
No, not
I
at
am
all.
just presenting options, and if people are inclined to support in whatever options are presented, then
Amazing.
like, yeah, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't,
And I got a
because
question for
I
you.
do this, yeah, because I do the same. We've talked about this. Like,
Yeah.
I buy music, I, you know, I have a Patreon, but I am a patron of people I respect and want content too. And, I am a Ola fanboy. I don't hide from that. I am a member on YouTube of Ola. Like, he doesn't need me, like, I'm willing to do it. And there's clearly enough of you out there that are willing to do it for me and Bunn and other people. Like, at some point, if you guys are pursuing this the way we are, like, it's going to get to that point for you too. And you have to be okay. Just present options to people and just let it happen. You're not begging. You're not forcing. You're allowing people to show appreciation in different ways, I guess. Yeah.
And since you dove into that, um, has it worked? And have you been surprised by it?
Of course
Like,
it's worked. Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
And what I mean worked is just like, were people interested in those things?
everything that I put out as an option for others to show support for me and what I do has worked.
Yeah.
People like this or people like that. You know, people like the preset packs. People then go and listen to my music, and you know, it's a
Yeah.
cyclical thing.
It's an organic thing.
Yeah. And if I didn't do any of it, then I wouldn't have any of it, really, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
your level of surprise? Were you?
I'm still, you know, we
I was
talk
really
about this.
surprised when
I'm
you
still
saw.
always surprised that
Yeah.
people, listen to my music. That surprises me.
Yeah.
And probably always will. B, watch my videos to the degree that they do.
Mhm.
And see that it's still growing. You know, I
Yeah.
feel sometimes like, what is the point of my freaking channel? Because here's the thing, and this is a little off topic, but it's kind of niche. Like, it's very Helix heavy at times, but I'm sure you guys can see I do way more than Helix stuff. But a lot of that stuff isn't why the channel is where it is. So it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing. Like, I want to be doing more to be helpful to people to make music, but the videos that, you know, like the videos that, let's say the last video I put out, that's a tone, like they blow up.
Yeah.
Where if I do an hour-long video about mixing, like, you know, they don't. But so the point I'm trying to make is I start thinking like, what if I just did mixing stuff? Would my channel even be half of what it is? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of that imposter syndrome creeping in, but you know, it all helps. Like the success of X video or music or product helps me, gives me the opportunity to make the videos that are more technical and helpful to people that I get more out of because I know from the messages and comments they're helpful. And that's really genuinely what I like to be, is helpful.
You do more of the breadwinners to allow to do more of the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Breadwinners.
Yeah.
Sick. Very sick. I don't really have much to add to that. I
Sorry.
have a lot, but that was pretty much the whole deal. Yeah, the whole like create and share, but who am I sharing it with? I think that's something to talk about. You see a lot of these kind of like business, you know, music business or art business gurus and whatnot. A lot of them are not in it, especially at this stage. You know, we're at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going at it for 5 years as the Bunn, 3 years where I'm like, oh, but 3 years ago I was like, oh, I think it's worth actually, you know, committing to. So I'm about 3 years in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see a lot of these business, you know, music business gurus talking about all kinds of stuff, and they're in a different place. They're either not here, or they're way further along, or they're not in it at all, and they're just sort of like consultancies or whatever. Not saying that any of them, I'm not talking any of them down. I'm just saying it's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll hear a lot of, just do this, this, and this, and things, this will happen. And I'm like, well, there is some truth. There's always truth to it. But there's a lot of that, you know, create, share, and then crickets. Like, who do I share it with? How do I share it? And there's a bunch of stuff going on there. You kind of got to find your thing, find your crowd, find your niche, find your people, and then it's usually a pretty slow build. Every now and then we hear these stories. Actually, often when we do hear success stories, they're kind of blown up, and it sounds like these people blew up overnight. A lot of times they spent 10 years before they blew up.
Is it ever really the case?
The overnight success?
Yeah.
I don't think it's true, generally speaking.
I'm with you.
I think usually people have a significant amount of time in on a thing. And a certain segment kind
Yeah.
of blew up with
Yep.
them. They had a sudden, like, more significant growth period. But
Yeah.
they had been building a base for a very long time.
Yeah.
So part of it is, create and share. And there's a process of finding your people, knowing what your niche is. You might not be aware of like what you do, what it means to the world until other people in the world connect with it. And you're like, oh, this is the crowd. And then, it's a little easier to build from there. I had no idea who would be interested in Bunn music because it didn't really fit the mold. It has things that kind of touch on a lot of other things. It's not like it's completely unique music or anything,
Yeah.
but it's a bit weird. It's a bit odd.
It's pretty unique, man.
And I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
I was self-aware enough. I'm like, this stuff is not quite like, I don't know what to call it. I don't know where to put it. But I'm going to just keep kind of doing it and putting it out there.
Yeah.
And eventually people got into it, and I was, I'm forever surprised who's into it and why, but that's none of my business. However,
Right.
for whatever reason people enjoy it, that's their decision. I don't get to choose who likes it.
Exactly. We've said that numerous times.
Yeah. But getting acquainted with those folks who show you love, for the purpose of understanding like who and why people might be interested in it, but also at the beginning, especially, that's where you're going to build your most meaningful relationships, like actual relationships that you've never really built before, never really had before. In this way, it's like you're the creator of something, and you're going to early on connect with people in a way that you will not have an opportunity to do it that way in the future. So Lucas Weisbrod is a great example. You yourself, Nick, is a great example. Like building these kinds of relationships, meaningful friendships through our musical interests and our creativity and our creative effort. Really great stuff happens at the beginning, and I think it has a big effect on like how you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to pay attention to who is showing you love at the beginning and not brushing it off and being like, oh, they're crazy. They don't know. Like, why would they like me? Because I know a lot of people who do that. Like,
right.
They don't know what they're talking about. I'm nobody. Don't pay attention. But I'm like, but that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Even though it's one person, pay attention and be thankful.
Yeah. It's almost like if you could tell people, like if one person starts saying that, hey, do you have this? Then you should be like, I should probably have this.
Yeah.
Because
where's your merch?
If there's one person, there's who knows what percentage of people.
Yeah.
And it's a desire of people who like what you do. It's not a cash grab. You can't look at it that way. You can.
No, get comfy.
And people do. And I did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in it. Dude, you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to speed through my last little bit here.
Yeah.
But this is just relevant because of the last couple days. We talked about it yesterday briefly on the phone.
Yep.
But the whole go with where it's warm thing. One of the things about people that I hear a lot of resistance on, or a lot of like turmoil, internal strife, internal turmoil, where it's like, okay, I have to get my music out there in order for it to generate revenue. Or it could be music, could be whatever. It's usually centered on the music. That's what this is all about. People are like, oh, I got to be on Instagram. I got to be on Twitter. I got to be on all these things. I'm like, it's probably a really good idea to maybe try all of it at the beginning. Because what does it take to sign up for things? Nothing.
Correct.
Sign up for things, get to feel how they work. But then a contrasting argument to that is our pal Aaron at Baritone Cult. Baritone Cult only has a YouTube, and he's grown that YouTube quite significantly with no social media. only a YouTube channel.
Yep.
So proof in the pudding that it can be
Mhm.
done. And there are people like, I watch all his videos, and there are people who show up every week to his videos and they enjoy the videos a great deal, and really, connect with his content and his personality and all that kind of stuff, and his music. He releases music on it. So you don't need to be everywhere. Go where it's warm. So if you do sign up for a bunch of stuff, get a feel for it, the things that kind of work for you and the things that you're stoked to do. Focus on those. Don't worry about everything and being everywhere. So if you have strife and anxiety in being like, oh, I have to promote myself or I have to connect with people, and you have this preconceived notion of how social media works and how it's going to impact your life, forget about all that. Experiment with whatever it is you want to experiment with. And if you only want to use one thing, go where it's warm. Just use that one thing.
Yeah, because I mean, there's more to this that doesn't really have to do with money, that it's worth considering, and maybe this is a worth a show in itself, is like return on investment when it comes to, and there's another buzzword or buzz acronym, ROI. Like, the effort you're putting into X thing, are you seeing enough of a return to justify the effort you're putting into it? And, you and I have been talking, like, and Aaron is a good use case where, or Baritone Colt, it's like, he just puts his effort into YouTube, and
That's it.
maybe that's the thing. So it's like, I always, as much as I love photography and taking pictures, like, I question my usage of Instagram on a daily basis, and I know you do as well.
I got rid of it.
Yeah.
I got rid of it
You
yesterday.
just you're gonna let it go dormant because it's a good experiment. Like, can that effort be channeled into just the YouTube channel? And
Well, YouTube
it's gonna be more beneficial.
My Patreon. There's a bunch of
That
places that I would way rather spend my attention on. Just emails. I can't tell you how many emails are just piled up that I have not got to. But was I trying to develop Instagram content? Yeah.
Same.
To what effect? Like Instagram, you can't even click out. Linking out of Instagram. I'm not going to get into that. I could get really passionate about
No,
it.
we can. I know it's, but
yeah,
that's like a
I
show.
should be responding.
That's a show, but you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I should be spending that time of frustration on something that I'm not even excited about. I have all these emails that I have to respond to. I have all of these folks that I'm connected with in really meaningful ways that I could be spending that time, hanging out with.
Yep.
Which makes I'd way rather do that.
Yeah.
So go where it's warm.
That's a very good point. Yep.
Oh, I'm so passionate about it.
I know, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to question these things.
Yeah. What do we want to do? I have a few other things there. I guess the last thing to just cap that off, and we'll get into some comments.
Yeah.
Is I've said this a million times, but the gap between 0 and 1 is the biggest gap that you will ever narrow.
Yep.
So when you have absolutely no fans or listeners or viewers, whatever it is you're doing, and then you go to one paying listener, let's say one person who buys your single, buys your EP, buys your album, who you don't know, that's a huge gap. And your perspective changes, I think, after that happens a few times.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, like it's a thing. And it's worthy to kind of pay attention to in a serious way and to be thankful of, and to kind of make it your business to know those people, thank those people, go along with those people. Yeah, absolutely. Especially at the beginning, because it's the hardest go of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, point 2, nobody knows what you're creating. How can you enjoy or support it? Do you want to lead off? I know you got eyes on a comment.
Man, there's a
lot.
This is the hardest part about this show.
I'm gonna lead off by this one.
Do it.
This is 13 Flaws. He says, currently in the process of putting together an Instagram page, SoundCloud for my band. Any tips? So I'm just want to preface this, Nick, to get into
Yeah.
the headspace. Like, I don't want to give tips. I'd rather talk about like the why. Why do
Yeah.
you want to use, like, what are you making for your music? What do you have music done and ready to be listened to? I assume yes. Why do you want to use Instagram and SoundCloud? And
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you hope for those things to do for you, or to serve? What function do you hope for them to serve? Those things are really important.
Yeah. So,
Do you want to add?
yeah, I'm going to kind of step into the shoes of 13 Flaws. Well, I'm sure he'll type up a response. Instagram and SoundCloud, they're free to get started. I get it. Um,
Mhm.
b- um, Bandcamp is free to get started as well. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. Free to
You
get
can
started. Also
make
has a
money
shareable
on
player.
Bandcamp. Yes,
Yeah.
you can make money on Bandcamp if people listen to your music or buy it. Again, if you are initially uncomfortable with the idea of making money off of your music, you can set it up to where it's free to download, or they can pay what they want. You can start with that.
I did that
But
for like 3 years.
same, absolutely. So consider the platforms, and just because everybody, I know, I'm not saying SoundCloud is bad, and even though Bunn and I just got off a tirade about Instagram, we're not saying that's bad either, because maybe at the beginning it's beneficial. You might get to a point where you realize, where we're kind of both realizing, like, maybe we don't need to put that kind of energy into it. So, like Bunn says, really think about why you're going into these types of things, and are there other platforms or options that may benefit you guys a little bit better. Bandcamp's cool, and again, I don't work for Bandcamp. I get nothing from them. It's not a thing. But the cool thing about Bandcamp is it can sort of be your web page. You can have a landing
Yeah.
place. It's a
Huge.
central place, which is very huge to have, that people can go to. They can listen to your music. They can buy your music. They can go to your YouTube channel or also your Instagram page. Yeah. So consider that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Do you have your eyes on another? I was just like passionately listening to you, so I wasn't looking at the.
No, I was. That's the thing. Like, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm also like seeing these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take this one?
Sure. Dylan. Always wise as well.
Yeah.
When he's not being a jackass. There are good ways to market and bad ways. Good relationships, bad relationships. Good approaches, bad approaches. Ethical standards, unethical standards. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like you get to choose that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the one I was looking at. Aaron also says, and this is kind of harkens back to a little bit what we were talking before. He says, you want to ask me a question. In the last year doing music and a bunch of great YouTube videos, how much have you learned? My guess is a ton. And you had fun. Yeah. So, and then he says, I guarantee you're happier by making moves and going after something you love. Happy for you. Thank you, Aaron. And yes, that's, I was saying how, I was having to dive into my finances a little bit more and getting in order, because a side effect of making money is you have to, well, you got to pay taxes, and you have to keep track and be organized. While it's been a huge pain in the ass, I have enjoyed learning about it, because I'm a nerd. And it's relating to my music in a roundabout way, and I'm always interested in how things work and the back end of things, how it works. So as much as I'm like, oh, this is a pain in the butt, it's also like, it's going to benefit in my personal life at some point, like having a little bit more knowledge and openness, talking about it and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, Dylan, another one. Sorry, I'm just going to try and rattle through some of them. It never ceases to amaze me how musicians view money as if it's inherently evil. We think taking it means we are sacrificing our integrity, but it's such a limiting, dead end, and false mentality. And again, you're right, Dylan.
I like this one by Turboplasma. I'd rather flail and grow along the way to my dreams than be successful at never leaving the gate and reaching for them.
Yeah.
I read that in a very robotic way, but
Yeah, there's
huge.
something to that.
You know, it's kind of like that. I'd rather die trying.
Mm-hmm.
Die trying, reaching for, and the thing about reaching for the things that you love is you're doing the things that you love. It's not easy. I have to preface everything that we're talking about is none of it's easy.
Yeah.
There are things that take less effort, things that take more effort, things that take a long time, things that can be done quickly. It takes all sorts to do any of this stuff, and it's all going to happen because you are doing it. You can work with other people, you can hire people if you have resources like that. There's a bunch of different ways you can go about it. No matter what you do, it's not easy overall, and it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no guarantee to anything working. But yeah, this whole thing of I'd rather die trying, I'd rather flail and grow along the way, you know, because at the very least, you're going to connect with people who are like you.
Yeah.
And you're going to make friends, you know, I'm making friends for life around the world.
That's
insane.
Trippy thing. Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I don't leave this studio. That's it. This studio, this like spare bedroom.
Yeah. It's a studio.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and you know what? To this, like, you have to be built a certain way. And what I mean by that is like have a certain mentality, or there's some switch that gets clicked for people that are like Turbo is saying, like you and me, who like see this thing that most people would see as silly or a side thing as potentially the thing, and then giving you the guts as if we're some big heroes, but you know, the strength to get past the hurdles and the difficulty of like doing this, and the scariness of like, but I might not make enough money for X or Y. It's like to support myself. Like you have to be willing. Not everybody is built to do it. Like, you know,
yeah.
Me and my wife see this kind of thing differently. Like I'm like opportunity, and she just wants to enjoy the thing. Somebody said earlier, I forget, about like happens to love his job.
Yeah.
Programmer.
It was
and
13 Flaws, I think.
It was
No,
Rough Riffs,
it was
I think.
Rough Riffs.
Yeah, saying he loves being a programmer, which is super dope, you know? That's great. And music to him is a side thing. That is okay, you know?
Yeah.
That's good. You know,
Yeah.
and this type of thing can be kind of like, if he's, you know, into the programming and whatnot, like could he do stuff on the side and be his own, you know, contractor for companies doing programming this or that or the other thing.
Yeah,
like who knows? You can apply this type of thing to whatever it is you love to do. Yeah. That's the point, you know.
I want to highlight this one because it's an interesting thing in terms of what, you know, what's going on, I guess, is the best way. So Cosman says, in my opinion, your channel is due to your sound, playing, and production, and your personality. It's the whole package. And the reason it's relevant, I'm not trying to blow you up, Nick Hill, or anything like that, but the reason this is really relevant is that there isn't any one like little hack to anything, you know, to like make it happen. And I think this kind of illustrates that there's a whole bunch of things going on. You don't really get to choose which of those things is really important to the people that it connects with or not. But I think paying attention to all of the moving parts and taking them all pretty seriously is beneficial or has a benefit
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the practice of it all. So
Well, this also speaks to something else that we've talked about too, and it's like YouTube is saturated with just about anything,
yeah,
especially in our niche little area.
yeah,
And people are saying like, well, can I start a YouTube channel now about guitar or music or production? And like, Cosman mentioned my personality. You know, people are going to gravitate towards different people's perspectives and personality, and that's the differentiating thing. You know, that's why you should give it a go, because there's going to be swaths of people that like you explaining how to record guitar or play guitar or whatever versus X person. And I follow people that do the same thing that I prefer to watch over the other. You know? It's just it just speaks to that.
Yeah, you don't get to choose.
Yeah.
But I think like Cosman highlights, paying attention to all of it as a person making things, like I don't know, I don't pay attention to my personality specifically, but I try to pay attention to the manner by which information is delivered and presented and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's sort of like part of the personality.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I don't just kind of swoosh a bunch of the details. It's like, oh, that doesn't matter. Not to say that you should get lost in details and obsess, because that's a whole nother problem.
Well, we're both capable
But
of
just,
doing that.
yeah, just like paying attention to the big picture and kind of taking it all seriously, managing it. Like if some things you're spending a bunch of time on something that, like you said earlier, it bears no fruit, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Well, then be smart enough to notice it and change gears. Do you have any more?
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
The only reason somebody's comment might not go up, guys, is because you guys are all saying a lot of good shit.
A lot of great stuff. And it's, you know, I personally, I try to highlight comments that we can kind of have more of a conversation about.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that any particular comment is of lesser value. Just, I think everybody here is pretty high functioning and understands that, but
Absolutely.
we're just going to put it out there because, yeah, amazing. This is my mantra. Renato says, a great time to be alive. It is.
Yeah, despite all the hardships that we've collectively as a planet, I mean,
yeah, because
this is a real hippie thing I'm about to say. It's like,
you know,
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that we talk to now that are like, you know, Lucas is in Argentina, and there's people in Australia, and Peter shows up in my stream. He's in this stream occasionally, like he's in New Zealand, and you know, I made friends with a guy in Germany who always buys my music when it comes out, and it's like, it's
surreal.
It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Incredible. I like this one.
Yeah.
A lot. Do you want to hit it?
Yeah. So Turbo, the man of many minds, says,
he's working on a philosophy book.
He should. I know he's a philosophical
totally
nerd for sure.
Yeah,
No such thing as failure if you learn and grow along the way. Some of life's greatest lessons come from the greatest obstacles. The only failure is in giving up. And then he leaves.
100%.
Yeah, it's like
giving up is the ultimate failure. However, giving up is not the same as pivoting. Sometimes making a change of direction.
Yeah, that's definitely not
for the better. Different.
Yeah,
that's another conversation.
Yeah, it's it's a level of adaptation or adapting, and you know, pivot. Yep, you have to be able to do that. But I think this is kind of just ties into like just take that first step. You know, that's the hardest part. You know, when you say 0 to 1 is the longest distance, like that's because usually you're in the way. You know.
Yeah.
It's like
Gonna get on to point 3, and then
Do
we're
it.
going to hang out in the comments indefinitely
Yeah.
until the end of time, until the end of the pandemic.
Till the end of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So point 3, starting, getting all this going. Like, okay, great. I'm cool with money. Nick and Bunn, I'm cool with it. Like, let's do it. And I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna share what I got going on. I don't care how long it takes. I'm in. So you need a starting point.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go this road, if you're gonna, put yourself out there and attempt to actually make a business out of it in some capacity.
I think you should kind of dive into this because you really opened my eyes up to a lot of this, and I know I learned a lot from like your perspectives on these things. So let's make sure you dive into your points first, because I will have nothing different to add.
Right. we're definitely kind of synchronized on this one, I think.
Yep.
Let's bam.
Orale vato.
There we go. So, getting all this into motion, something I see a lot, something I did, I'm speaking from experience here. When early on was, I would be like, okay, I want to do this. And then in my head, I'd dream up this like super convoluted, giant, unexecutable thing. And all I needed to do was start record a piece of music and get it out. So my first thing is just start basic and grow with your project. And starting basic in terms of the sort of business aspect, like putting things in place that will be able to generate money. And I emphasize will be able to generate money. It doesn't need to make money on the first day. It's probably not going to make money on the first day.
Correct.
I think having any expectations when you're launching is not healthy. And it may
Yes.
Yeah. may set you up for a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Some people are lucky, but
yeah, that's huge. That's huge. That's all I was going to interrupt you is say, like,
oh yeah,
is like the expectation should be not to have any expectations going into it. And then as it builds, then you can start saying like, oh, okay, what can I do to go where it's warm or point this in the right direction? Just starting is the win in it of itself,
putting things into place.
Yep.
Because the easiest way to make business is to be able to make business, and to be able to make business is to be able to, work with transactions and stuff like that. So selling your music, have your music on Bandcamp. And if you want to get into the whole stream world, you may not necessarily get a ton of streams off the beginning, but you may get some discovery from it. So discovery is good on the streams early on. Your music will inevitably find its way into weird recommended playlists and stuff.
And that's true.
And it might not be huge, but it costs money to get into the streams because you got to use it like Distrokid or something like that. But it might be a worthy investment because it might promote, discovery of your music early on. But Bandcamp for sure. So Bandcamp, it's there. There is a huge number of people who go to Bandcamp to discover new music. I do it every week. I am digging through the Bandcamp bins, looking for something new to buy, looking for something new to get jazzed on.
The virtual record bins. Yep.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
But make sure if you're going to do this, just have it in place. Start it. You don't even have to monetize Bandcamp at the beginning. It just is set up. And when you want to monetize it, you can switch it to on.
Yep.
Same thing with merch. sign up for a Threadless and get to know how it works. You don't have to actually post
This is huge.
any merch.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, someone's going to be like, yo, like, where's the t-shirt? Actually, you know, Sean says, good point. But Bunn, discount on merch for March, but where's the Stoked shirt? Yeah.
Where is the Stoked shirt, bro?
I'll make it. I'll make it tomorrow.
You need
morning.
to whip that up by Bandcamp Friday.
Yeah, I got it.
It shouldn't be that hard. Hashtag stoked.
Hashtag stoked. Yeah. I've been writing a lot of scripts. But yeah, get a Threadless together. Threadless is great. I recommend Threadless just because the artist portion of the earnings is the highest of all of them. It's the most balanced.
You can control it too.
You can control it. Yeah.
The thing about Threadless, if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically a service where you upload your designs and your art, and you don't have to have inventory for t-shirts. So when you guys order a Bunn shirt or a Nick Hill shirt, like, I don't have those shirts here. Threadless prints them and ships them, and they take obviously a significant portion of the price, but like, you get a percentage, but you don't have any stock. You don't have to ship it. So you guys, as artists, or 13 Flaws with your band, have a 13 Flaws band, if that's the name of the band. Forgive me if it's not. Like, you just come up with a design, paste it on a shirt, you know, and promote it.
Yeah, and you have a lot of control creatively over the types of shirts and the designs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. You know, mugs, and I mean, again, like Bunn said, just set it up and check it out and see what you can do, and it might get some ideas flowing. And it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. It does not cost you anything. It just, it goes into the bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, what else can you get set up right away?
Well, you mentioned Distrokid, and I know that's a cost, but I know a couple people have asked about Distrokid. So like,
it's a very low cost, but some people are just not in a position right off the top to spend on it. But it's like $20 US a year.
Yeah.
And to start, there's 3 tiers. That's the lowest tier. But it's fantastic.
If you're a band, that's all you need.
It's sort of like the Bandcamp of the big stream aggregates. There's a bunch of aggregate services, but you know, Distrokid is just a very artist-centric version of all of them.
Yeah, so like Bunn is saying, Distrokid, you pay $20 a year, and you can put out as much music as you want in that year, as many singles, as many albums, and you keep all percentage of your streaming revenue. And well, first of all, they handle, all you do is upload the music and the art. They handle pushing it to every possible known streaming service out there, and they're constantly adding to it. Constantly. It amazes me when I see the list, you know, and in the general chat, I'll bring up and show you guys like a behind the scenes of what one of my tracks looks like in Distrokid. But you pay one time $20 for the year, and you can just push your music to everywhere, and it's everywhere, and they do it for you. You know, there's some add-on options per release that you can add if you want, but those are all one-time costs. I think maybe the only recurring fee is like if you want them to watch out on YouTube for your music. Like, I think they charge you every year for that, but it's like cheap. It's really it's in the dollars. It's, you know, it might be $10 or below. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, it's a small price to pay to get your music everywhere.
Yeah.
And your music will literally be everywhere. And like Bunn was saying, then you can get yourself on. People will add your music to Spotify playlist. I've had people do that, add songs to their lists that have X amount of listeners.
Yeah.
But that would never happen if you didn't put that out, or if you're just on one thing like
there's
SoundCloud.
no guarantees I just want to be really upfront about that. Like some people will
Oh,
share
correct.
strategies or whatever, and they're like, "This is how you do it." I'm like,
Distrokid's not
I
going to
don't know
make you
about
any
that.
money.
No,
It's it's pushing your music to the world
yeah,
for
the
it to be heard.
yeah the music either performs or it doesn't, and
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things that you can do to promote your music on those platforms. And Distrokid also offers some tools and whatnot that help to promote those things. Not This is not a DistroKid ad. I've done paid spots for DistroKid in the past,
Me too.
um, but
But I paid for it for years.
I have only ever used DistroKid previously as the Bunn, and prior to that, I used other services in bands.
Yep.
Like I'm not going to compare. This isn't about. It's not a DistroKid ad, and it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's not a. This is better than that or anything like that. We're just talking about what things we know.
Yeah, we use this because it's worked
Because
out the best for us.
yeah,
That's the bottom line. And
yeah, I'm just into
again, different services might work for you. This is not a commercial. This is not a comparison. This is not belittling any other service. I've used, CD Baby, and in between having an active DistroKid, and you know, I I use DistroKid.
it. Yeah.
That's it.
But I don't want to get too hung
Yeah.
up on services. There's lots of great services. We're just talking about
No,
friendly
I'm with you.
ones.
Yep.
The whole point of it is simple. The things that are very accessible, do the things that are most accessible, most simple. You don't have to go out and make a whole bunch of merch. You don't have to go out and press a bunch of records.
Yep.
You don't have to go out and, pay a ton of fees to get going, but also to get going in a way that you're sort of setting up a foundation if you want to kind of build a business as you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, like I say, some people are just lucky and things kind of hit early. Some people have to sweat it for a long time. I'm the kind of person who has had to sweat a long time, and I'm still sweating.
Agreed.
Uh,
Same.
but I'm happy what I'm doing. So that's about all I have to say about that. Maybe the last thing about money and monetization and all that stuff. We're going to get into this with hopefully Dylan in the future.
Yes.
But about sponsorships and endorsements, something, at least in band life, like bands that are playing gigs and touring, obviously that's gone at the moment. But it used to be a common thing for people to be like, oh, I want to get, like, trying to get this endorsement or trying to get this sponsorship or whatever. I find a lot of people have their eyes on sponsorships and endorsements too early, and they have nothing to offer the endorsements or the sponsorships, and pursuing those things too early may sour your opportunity to pursue them in the future.
Yep.
And we're gonna do an episode all about that stuff. But in terms of thinking about, building a thing with your music or your art in general, I wouldn't worry about sponsorships and endorsements. When you have something valuable, the sponsorships and endorsements come knocking. And at least that has been my experience.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm going to sign off on this topic. I don't know, Nick, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the final? Start basic, just get started, make sure the foundational elements are there. You don't have to do anything too fancy.
Yeah, no, we did get off into a little bit of like names of services, but the point was there are things out there that you can sign up for, get eyeballs on this stuff without some sort of monetary investment. Like, you literally don't need any money to have a threadless.
No.
I don't pay anything to have it,
You pay per sale.
Yes. It's, so find those things that you can get your band or your music or whatever the creative thing is on. If it's something creative and tangible, maybe Pinterest is that, Etsy, whatever it is, put those things in place and give yourself the option to utilize it if you need to when it comes down
Yeah.
time to do so.
And just because you have these things, you don't have to use, you don't have to have the stress of the money right away, but having it there as an option as you grow, you can turn it on at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But
oh crap!
it's
I hit my mic.
whatchamacallit, 13 Flaws says, I think you guys could do a full stream just on the topic of socials and distribution platforms. And I would love to do that. Nick, do you see an easy way to kind of cover that in a conversational format? I think we could.
I think if we approached it from the things that we both have tried things and landed on things, if we kind of do it from that approach, like this is the things that work for us and here's why, you know,
the go where it's warm approach.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth talking about for sure. And I think if we just preface it with like, we're not trying to sell this thing that we use or that thing that I use or that thing that you use. It's like,
no. And what works for you, Nick Hill, isn't necessarily going to work for me or anybody else in this stream specifically.
Yeah.
Which
what else?
are you going through comments? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
There you go. I got one for you.
Nick, you made a good point about taxes and needing to stay on top of that. Would you would you elaborate on that a bit? What is your process and what point does it become taxable? Okay, so again, disclaimer.
Not tax. Yeah.
I am not a accountant. I'm not a professional. I did explain to you guys, like in my 20s and early 30s, I was shitty with money, right? Okay. Now that I've said that,
I gotta liquid.
You gotta go do it. He's got to drain his brain. So, any money you make is taxable, people. So, this year I made enough money on YouTube where I got a 1099. So there was no denying that. I made money with digital products and I made money with Threadless. What I do is I keep track of everything. Now I do. I hadn't done this. January came and I'm like, okay, I need to get this stuff in order. So you keep track of the money you're making on the places on the places you have it. So for me, it's streams, and I can keep track of that with Distrokid. I can see all my sales. My digital products on my webpage. I can see my sales on my webpage. Threadless. I can see my sales on Threadless. So I now have spreadsheets for all that. Keep track of it. The thing is, because of that, this is where the dirty word of looking at yourself as a business comes into play. Because you're making money, you're also spending money to make that money. So you're like a business. You can claim things. So I kept track of expenses. It's all right. Any money that I've spent towards YouTube or music, I kept track of. Like, with the help of different software and apps, I kept track of it because you can claim percentages of these things that you spend against the income you make with YouTube and music, which lowers your taxable burden. That's the way I understand it. That's the way
in the United States.
In the United States, it's a whole different, probably not overwhelmingly different, but Canada's different. Argentina's different. Australia's different. New Zealand's different. This is for me. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're going to go into this, be organized. And I'm sure Baritone Colt can speak to this. Be organized. Have the intention that you're taking it seriously. And I didn't. And I had to play catch up. And I'm still playing catch up. And I'm going to get more organized. Not because I plan on being a millionaire, but because I want to have my ducks in a row. You know? So there are so many resources for this. We found an accountant this year that has worked with small businesses. So that was a really big step for us. And you learn a lot from people. Ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Don't always trust everything you see on YouTube or whatever, you know, like you got to do some research, but don't mess around when it comes to money and taxes because, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cosman says, if he were going to release, is the Distrokid thing worth it? So,
if you're asking me,
I
go ahead, Bunn. Go ahead. Answer.
I don't want to answer. I just want to preface that it doesn't matter if it's Distrokid or any of the other services. If you're going to put your music out with an aggregate, they're called aggregates. They aggregate all of the big streams. And there is no clear answer to your question. From my perspective, I would say it's really important first to decide what it is you want to do with your music.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you want to push it out there? What kind of people do you want to connect with? Do you want to focus on the big streams as a discovery platform early on? Do you actually want to build an audience on those platforms? Just what is it that you want to do first before you kind of decide on that avenue?
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good approach. There are more and more aggregates. Like, so as an example, I use Distrokid because it's what I landed on, and I feel if we're talking, you know, Cosman buddy, hey, do you think it's worth it? I feel it's worth it. It's what I use. It's what I'm going to keep using. But there's TuneCore, there's CD Baby, Lander, who used to just do digital mastering, is now an aggregate. The benefit to these things is you upload in one spot and it's boom, dispersed everywhere. It takes that part out of it. You don't need to know how to do it. I believe you can upload your music to iTunes and Spotify on its own somehow. But I don't know how to do that. And it sounds like a nightmare. So this handles it for it. No, I can't imagine. Because I remember looking into it, asking this same question, like, is CD Baby worth it? Is Distrokid worth it? Because I was in a mental space where I'm like, $20, like, is Tony going to be annoyed that I spent $20 to upload music? Or are people going to think like I paid? You paid to upload your music to like it was the early stages of this, you know, of that.
I spent $20 on 4 beers last Friday night.
Well, that's exactly it, man. I spent $20 probably on my Starbucks breakfast on my way to the office the other day. It's like,
right. Yeah.
An aggregate is worth it, Cosman. How about that? An aggregator. Yeah.
Give it a shot. You can always cancel, you know.
That's true.
You can do it for a year. This one is just kind of a fun thing from Dylan.
Oh yeah.
He says, I can't remember the artist. I think there are many artists who have said this, but you know, it took me 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yep.
Can you think of anyone off the top of your head, Nick Hill, that this is kind of the story? I think it's the story of everyone.
I genuinely think that too.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. I feel like it's like on, you know, on the tip of my tongue. Like, I don't know if it was a movie star or a musician or a YouTuber, even for that matter, that's like blown up, and then they're like, man, I've been doing this for X amount of years. You know, there's any number of bands who have that story, who have albums upon albums upon albums, and then one song all of a sudden just hits. And it's like, hold up, they got this back catalog. Like, yeah, we've been doing this for like 15, 20 years, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to be the common thing. Although I'm sure there are a few artists that kind of, you know, magically blew up right away. I don't know of them, but I'm sure that story is out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Of course there is. Yeah.
Yeah. You have your eyes on any comments? I got some.
Yeah, go for it.
Uh, whatchamacallit? Oh, uh, whatchamacallit? Baritone Cult is getting a threadless. It's been on there,
Yeah,
but he's
Aaron,
doing
you
it,
should. You should.
and you totally should. You got a great visual aesthetic and
Yep.
graphics,
Yep.
and yeah, at the very least, it's just fun. I have great fun doing my threadless.
It is fun.
Yeah, yeah, fooling around with graphics and all that. Whatchamacallit? I had another great one. Man, threadless sounds awesome. So Sean Heath, this is not a threadless ad or anything.
Not
but
at all.
I think the point of it, Sean Heath says, man, threadless sounds awesome. It really is. It is a very empowering platform. Other platforms like threadless, just to be fair, in the landscape, I have a preference for threadless, but there's Redbubble, there is Merch Now. I'm not sure how Merch Now works.
There's a
Printful.
ton of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I just find what I like about Threadless is their shop is autonomous of the main site. So my Bunn world doesn't get like just thrown into the Threadless ether. So that's number one. One challenge about Threadless, if you're interested in exploring it, is it doesn't really hook up to your website in maybe a similar way to Bandcamp. Like Bandcamp works in such a way that you can really easily integrate it right into your website. There's a couple ways to go about it. Mm-hmm. You can do it on the player level, just the players themselves, or you can do it where you style the whole page and put a link menu across the top and style it to your thing, and all the links interact.
Yep.
And it's a seamless thing. And I did that for a bunch of years before I had a more significant website that handled that stuff.
Yeah.
But Threadless doesn't integrate in such a smooth way. You have to push people there. And when I say push, it's just like, I got this thing, the link's down below, the link takes people to the Threadless store.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, but it doesn't integrate smoothly. Whereas if you're with Printful and you have a website platform, which Nick and I both have website platforms by a company called Bandzoogle. Mm-hmm. And Bandzoogle just recently, released Printful support, and they have a Printful API for those of you who understand web stuff a little bit. They support a Printful API, and you copy the Printful API, and then it just fully integrates into the Bandzoogle framework. And
so basically people can buy right from your page.
Right from your website. So if you're looking for something that integrates, you have an official website and you want to integrate directly into your site, you can do that with Printful. From what I understand, Printful, I know a bunch of people who use it, and it's on a similar level to Threadless in terms of the quality. Those are the more premium offerings. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to integrate merch into your creative endeavors, your creative offering. But Printful is a little bit more integratable that way, but a little bit more complicated. Threadless, like you could set it up right now, like after this stream or during the stream, you could just have it open in another tab, set it up, and you're good to go. Yeah. Printful, there's a little bit more fooling around, at least in terms of full integration. But
for what it's worth, I'm going to look at Printful just because I'm a nerd. I'm always looking for different options.
I'm probably going to, Nick Hill, maybe both of us should do this for the channel, for the Bandless channel. I'm going to do a screen video of my experience of integrating the Printful into the website.
Oh, that's great.
Like what kind of headaches is it all about? I've already explored it significantly to kind of plan for this. I just haven't done it yet because I want to be prepared when I do it in order to screen record it. But maybe you could do the same, and maybe we could put it together as a video that, if anybody's interested in doing that, how difficult is it, or how easy is it, how good is it, etc.
Yeah. No, that's great. But the point of it was like, the options are out there. What's up, Kevin? You're never too late.
You're never too late, Kevin.
The options are out there. There's options out there. And I'm sure it's very much like Threadless, where you set up a shop and, you know, they're printing and shipping, and you're just coming up with the designs, and there's a split.
And providing the customers. You know,
Yeah.
Printful doesn't have any customers.
Yep.
It's the artists who have who bring the customers.
Mm-hmm.
Printful or Threadless or whatever, they're just a printer. That's all they do. They don't provide any customers. Get into it.
Yeah. So Dylan is going to be joining us on a future episode of Bandless in the next few weeks, and he kind of works on the artist relation side of things. So he says he'll definitely be talking about that, how overvalued sponsorship and endorsements are, and when to potentially look into them. Too many people think they're needed when they're not. Valuable, but probably later. Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Dylan's got some good insights with that.
Yeah. And especially from that perspective, like Dylan is one of the guys that people send messages to. It's like, hey, I'm looking for a sponsorship.
Yeah, he had a funny little... He had this. I can have endorsement.
I am pregnant.
So this is what we're talking about. Dylan is the guy that you would probably too early reach out to and say, "Hey, can I have some stuff to put on my channel?" And like Bunn said, you have to. We'll get into it in that show. There's approaches, and you need to be in a position to present that approach. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps. Whatchamacallit? Rough Riffs. Checking out for now. Have a good one. Keep riffing, dudes. This has been a great topic and discussion tonight. Thank you. Have a great night. And with that, I'd like to invite sort of questions not in the stream here, but like for future episodes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're always going to be writing shows.
Yeah.
But, you know, if there's things that you think we would be, things that you see that maybe we're doing or whatever, that we might have insight on that we can share from this sort of grassroots perspective, that's kind of our angle. It's like, we're just guys and we're just doing it. But maybe we're just like a hair further deeper into it than a bunch of other people.
Yep.
It's a very fractional difference though. And our goal is to kind of, you know, signal back and be like, keep an eye out for this, or think about this. You could think about this or whatever, like just kind of a heads up. That's
we're
what
the canaries in the coal mine for you guys.
Yeah. That should be a merch tee. The canary in the coal mine. That's amazing. It's so visual.
With a guitar.
Might be. Breathing fire.
Yeah, it just really kind of like.
We're gonna take it all the
jumps
way.
The shark.
Canary. Yeah.
Now my gears are kind of going.
Oh, it's such a good shirt.
What else?
Let's see. Oh, Dylan. I have messaged him a few times. Conversation. There's not as much conversation in the thread between you guys. A little bit. Sean Heath is talking to 13 Flaws.
Yeah. So
and what time is it? 9:44. So we got like 15 minutes. Oh, by the way, always, I forget to do this every time, but I like to do it at the beginning and at the end. It's just the sort of the CTA, the shout out, whatever you want to call it. But everyone who's with us at Patreon, I just want to say thank you to them. It is Ben Drakeford, Tanner Borglum, Baritone Cult, Barry Prosser, Kevin O'Brien, and Anthony Nito. Thank you very much. It helps a lot. We just paid our bill on the Restream software.
Thank you guys.
And that makes a huge difference in terms of making this, because channel's not monetized or anything like that. We're going to do it anyway. We just want to be upfront about that. We're going to do it no matter what. But if people want to help out, the Patreon link.
And again, another way you can help up while Bunn's grabbing that link, ideas. If you guys have ideas, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments.
Curiosities.
Yeah. Things that I mean, there's a lot to all of this. There's, you can get lost in the minutia, and also Bunn and I are still like learning as we go.
Never stops.
There's always a question or an exploration that we're working through. Like we were just talking about Instagram. We had a very deep conversation about Instagram yesterday, and like you have to have those. You have to kind of like what's the word? Reflect on what you're doing to make sure that your energy is going to where it should be going. And like we've talked about this in the show, but
going where it's warm.
Yep.
Lucas says, at least personally, money for my art. It felt weird, as we are all big critics of our own stuff. That makes sense. We all think we're worth it, starting in this, or at least I did, or we are not worth it.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, it's very common. It's so common.
It's that imposter syndrome. It gets thrown around a lot, but it's so. Yeah.
I need to make this bigger. It's so hard to read.
Yeah, it's like
there we go.
You need to have it on the full screen, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now
I
that
need
I
another
don't
screen.
need the script.
You need
another
screen.
Yeah. How many screens do you have? Like 28 screens? 28-inch screens? No, you have two 32s.
I have two 32-inch screens, and it's still not enough.
Yeah, I have a
I'm
34.
blind, guys. You see these? Remember? People are asking why they're so thick. It's because your boy's
stylish
blind.
Spectacles.
So speaking of, we're just kind of having a chat, and we like to shout you guys out. Baritone Cult, he's a patron, and he's just a good dude. He's supported both Bunn and I. He's almost always in both of our streams and in the comment sections, and we do the same thing for his. He, related to fund baritone gear stuff, well, gear stuff in general. He just posted a video because I kind of wanted to nerd out a little bit with him about this game changer audio light pedal. It's an optical spring reverb. So I just put the link in the chat for Baritone Cult's video on it, and it's so cool. It's such a cool reverb. I was like, man.
Yeah, they do really weird stuff. Have you seen their plasma?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but you have that plasma drive too, don't you? But it's I'm starting to like love pedals. I don't have very many, but I'm starting to love them. And then I see people like, Baritone Cult posting a video on the X pedal, and I'm like, no, yeah. I want to play with that pedal. But
you're doomed, Nick Hill.
I am doomed, right?
That road never ends.
I know. Oh well. Slightly cheaper than guitars.
Oh yeah, that's why people love them, because they're so much more actionable. You can like
I
100
also love
bucks.
that we can the platforms that we play on, like you can integrate them into a Helix or to a an HX
Yeah.
Stomp with ease.
They sound really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Brandon's leaving us.
Good night, Brandon. I hope you are well. Great show later. I think Randy's leaving as well.
Oh, Randy, bye, buddy.
Have a good night. What time is it? 9:50. We can. We don't have to go right till
Yeah.
10.
Seems like everybody's.
Or I guess it's 9 there. Yeah, I'm like.
Are we having a tired Wednesday,
whatchamacallit.
guys?
I'm having a
Oh.
tired Wednesday.
Tired Wednesday? That's okay. That's okay.
I call it geriatric Wednesdays.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap.
Cold. Got to put my.
It is cold down here, but I do have a new flannel.
But yeah,
New Dixon flannel. So
Dixon.
Yep. Love these flannels.
Tasty.
Love these flannels.
Hard to get.
They can be, that's for sure.
Gotta act
But,
fast.
They're
Gotta
a
act
quality flannel.
Yeah.
Just got 2 reverb pedals because I only own 1 to 2 reverb now. Yep. Nice. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
But I'm gonna sign off.
Let's do it.
I hope everyone is well. Thank you very much. If you're not subscribed to the channel, it's a brand new channel, and subscriptions are helpful if you're interested in helping that way. That would be great.
We'd love to have you.
If you're new to Bandless as a whole, like Nick and I, for some reason, our links are in the show notes to our own YouTube channels. I should probably put our website links in there as well, but that's next time.
Yeah.
But you're welcome to follow up with us. I have, in terms of emails, direct messages, that kind of stuff, I have been having difficulty personally getting through all of my messages recently. So if you are reaching out, I get back to everybody. I just am experiencing a little funnel overflow at the moment, but that
It happens.
is going to change. Yeah, and that will go away as of the coming week. There's a bunch of reasons for that. But anyhow, I'm
Renato,
signing off.
good night. Have a good night. Kevin, have a good night. 13 Flosh, Sean, Baritone Cult. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys being here. Always enjoy the conversation. And thank you for all the support. We're gonna